All right, so I wasn't gonna do a video, but then I was like, you know what? Um, Sometimes I like the way I write, and I just want to show it off. No, I just I wanted to kind of make fun of the way I talk to AI sometimes. Sometimes, hey buddy, can you do me a favor? And it's just interesting that I've kind of learned to like speak to it in a way that I could speak to somebody else, but understanding that I still have to be professional enough that it knows what it's trying to do and keeps to it. Because if I'm too vague, then it's a problem. So just the starting sentence, I believe it was written into the document. I freaking know it was written into the document. I've read the document. I've written the document. However, I wanted to check the document, and I could have put check the document. But I put check the document before and I just didn't get the results that I wanted. So now I kind of go, I believe it's in there. And it really goes through and tries to find a concept close to what I was describing. When I say check the document for the word migrate, and there's no migrate in there, and it's just like, I'm sorry, I checked, it's not there, versus I believe migrates in this document, it's going to be like, well, I didn't find migrate, but I found mitigation. Maybe you spelled it wrong. Or I found transfer, or some correlation of it, and it tries to pull it out there. So it's just learning or thinking outside the box. Because if I'm too specific, I say check for this, and it's going to be like, I checked, it's not there. But I believe it's like, maybe he's talking about this. This could potentially be what he mentioned. So I know it's in there, but I believe it was written into the document. It's my version of check. And I just thought that was really, really funny, and decided to just do a video for that. But essentially, I believe this was written into the document. The concepts should be separated, with each having its own definition, real-world application, and exam need to know. I know that's in there because that's how I wrote it. That's what it's trying to do on screen. However, the next line is where I'm like, maybe it's me because I didn't specify. So, for example, this is what I want it to follow. So it has an idea of what I'm trying to do. The CIA triad should be treated as 3 separated concepts. I don't have that in there. I don't have separated concepts. And that's my fault. I presumed that it would separate the concepts, like confidentiality, exam need to know, definition, what that is. I wasn't thinking I need to specify that separation. So that's my fault because it's AI and it wasn't given the instructions, so it's not doing it. It's way too particular. So I gave it a few examples. DAD, AAA, I just pulled this section that you see on screen, should be treated as 3 separate concepts. Now, I didn't want it to just do it for session 1 because that's where we are. I'm testing through session 1. So I have to instruct it, when you do this separation of learning and training, not just session 1, but all sessions, you're going to keep this going for the entire thing. So I need to essentially say, do it for all sessions. That should be it. It should be good. There's 20 sessions, do it for every session, but it's just like, there might be a portion where it says certain information and it's like, this doesn't really apply, and it tries to bundle it together. So it's all sessions and information. If you're informing me, if you're training me, if you're giving me info, separate the concepts. Let's go ahead and specify that. Now, I did read through this and I liked it in a way. So essentially, like someone breaches a network and they have access. So it's like, oh, they got access to this information. So now we have a breach of confidentiality. While in there, they altered it. So we have a breach of integrity. Because they altered the original document, it's no longer available, maybe even deleted it. So you have a breach of availability. So it's just like, wow. Tying it together kind of shows you stages somewhat. This is just how my brain is putting that together. So I wanted to kind of keep those stages. So it's like, if there is a need to tie the comp sets together, this should be done in a fourth separated section. So now I'm putting it like, hey, we might want to bundle some stuff together. This kind of looked good because they do work together. The CIA triad, so you might want to hear that as a whole. Because it was already defined, it's like this section should just consist of maybe a real world explanation if it wants to do that, or an exam related knowledge for the concepts as a whole. And essentially that gives it an opportunity to decide which one. Like, don't define it again. It's already defined. We'll skip that. The definitions do not need to be restated as they were previously described. And then we go, this blended format should be used if the reader would benefit. Hey, this is given the AI an opportunity to say this information might be 60% usable. Let's go ahead and give it. I might want to specify benefit a little bit more, but I'm trying to generalize it for now to see how it looks. So benefit, it's putting it in the AI's hand, and I'm hoping that it thinks everything is beneficial. So we'll see how that one works out. Would benefit from understanding the concepts, how the concepts interrelate. So essentially, CIA triad, they tie together. Boom, that's a great one. So for example, a user logs in and gets authenticated, then gains access to the authorized resources, files, and finally their actions are logged for accounting. So that is a nice tie-in for how it would do a real world scenario for the AAA format. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a flicking break there. Framework format. AAA framework. Wow. Yeah, so it's just like, this is me going through again line by line and being like, hey, this actually, I am going to ask it to write a directive, to rewrite the directive. Oh, all right, perfect. It's already done it for me. I forwarded the directive to add to your master instructions. So all multi-path frameworks, triads, and grouped together methodologies must be decomposed into their individual atomic components. Wow, I wouldn't have used any of those words. Each component must be treated as a distinct standalone entity featuring its own strictly formatted core definition, real-world scenario, and exam need to know. Furthermore, when these when these distinct concepts operate together as a cohesive framework, a discrete section titled Framework Interrelation must be generated immediately following the individual breakdowns. This section will provide a blended real-world operational flow and cumulative exam context demonstrating how the components interact sequentially or systematically, strictly avoiding the repetition of the previously established definitions. See, I wouldn't have wrote nothing close to that. Oh my lord, I feel like I'm reading out loud in front of class again. I'm like, so it's integrated into its own operational framework. I'm using this Gemini section chat for testing, so everything in here won't actually be. I'm sometimes messing things up by asking it to do this and seeing how that works. So it's great to have mini sections where I kind of just, let's see how this one works. What would happen if I do this? So this one is my testing on this particular stage. But yeah, so overall, I'm going to go ahead and integrate this rule. Did I just copy it? I think I did. I have an idea of where to put that. And honestly, it's going to go right after the real world scenarios, because these are already mentioned. And then after they're mentioned, that would be a good time to say, hey, these were mentioned before. Here's what we're going to do with them. So boom, this is how we're going along.